All right, ladies and gentlemen. So, um, welcome back. Second week, maybe not quite as good as the first week. I was pretty impressed with the first week, and not to say many of you are doing bad. In fact, many of you are doing quite well. Just keep in mind that office hours are happening Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 1 to 3. I know now people are asking a lot of questions. Things are getting more complicated. Please make sure you stop into those. It's going to be so much easier than me trying to answer in comments or messages and all of that. So I know that time might not work for everybody. If it doesn't, just please email me. Try and set up a time. I'll do what I can. All right. Okay. Now, I wanted to do one more day of these types of problems. Because I wanted to address as many mistakes as I could. I wanted to give you guys a way, some steps to get through these problems a little bit easier. So I'm going to go through these as quick as I can, just to keep the video at a reasonable length. Now, the steps that I have, and you can screenshot this if you need to pause it, and while you're doing the problems, have it up on your screen, whatever. I think this will help those of you who maybe are struggling to figure out where to go first or what to do first. All right, start with the parentheses, deal with the exponent outside the parentheses, deal with any parentheses, get rid of those, go negative exponents and zero exponents, and then multiply and divide. Those were the rules that you learned first. And in the end, your answer should have no negative exponents. The reason we move negative exponents is to make them positive. So in the end, no negative exponents. And you should have one of each variable. As in, if you have x's and a whole bunch of x's and y's, in the end, you'll have one x, but maybe with an exponent, and one y with an exponent. So what I mean is one base. So here we go. Let's do it. Here are the problems. I already put the answers in the document, so let's just roll right through. Okay, first off, looking at all of this, there are no parentheses, no negative and zero exponents. So right off the bat, we're good on steps 1 and 2. So we're only doing step 3 in this first one. So when it comes to step 3, just deal with the top, do what you can, deal with the bottom, and then we'll do them together. So here we go. On the top, numbers still multiply like numbers, so 2 times 3 is 6. Y's, when you're multiplying, you add the exponents. So there are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 y's on top, and only one x. And on the bottom, everything stays the same. I'm actually going to rearrange the x and the y just so we can more clearly deal with them. So they're one on top of the other. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And think of it like a fraction. 6 over 3 would reduce to 2 over 1. I'm not going to put the 1 under. Well, I'll put the 1 under just so you can see what I mean. 2 over 1. You're dividing both of those numbers by 3. In red, you have your y's. Y to the 6th, y to the 4th. Now, this is where you would maybe subtract. 6 minus 4 is y to the 2nd. The other way to think about it is there's more y's on top than on the bottom. You can cancel 4 on the bottom and 4 on top, but there will still be 2 left. Same thing here. If you want to use the canceling way, it would be 1 on top, 2 on the bottom. You cancel 1 on both the top and the bottom. You have 1 left on the bottom. The other way you could do it is 1 minus 2 would get you x to the negative 1. But remember, our answer can't have negative. Here, I'll do it in a different color. Can't have negative exponents, so this would have to move. Anyways, if you use the subtraction method, you would have to move it in the end, or you can just look at it as canceling. There's 1 left on the bottom. So your answer, 2y squared over x. All right, let's go to the next one. Now, this one does have parentheses. Step 1, parentheses, let's do it. So b, a to the 4th is going to stay the same for now. And let's deal with the parentheses. Now, this negative 3, I did see this happen a couple times. This negative 3 goes to everything. Not everybody did that last week, but the negative 3 goes to the exponent of everything. So 2 to the negative 3, b to the negative 3, and then a to the fourth, you have to multiply. When we have that exponent to an exponent, you multiply. So it's a to the negative 12th. Now, maybe to make this easier, especially when you have negative exponents, think about it this way. We can write everything over the denominator of 1. All right, so we dealt with the parentheses. Now we do negative and 0 exponents. No 0 exponents, but there are plenty of negatives. Anything with a negative exponent goes to the opposite part of the fraction. So these are in the numerator, so they're going to go to the denominator. So the BA to the fourth stays on top. BA to the fourth stays on top. And then on the bottom, I'll do it in red here, 2 to the third. It becomes positive because we moved it. That's, oops, look at that. Just as I was saying it. It becomes positive. All right, there you go. We moved everything. We took care of the negative exponents. Now we deal with the multiplying and dividing. The combining and canceling. Now, look at the top. B and A, can't do anything there. On the bottom, a number of B and an A. We can't combine anything, so let's go to canceling and simplifying. Excuse me. 2 to the third will be 8. I do want you to do that. If it's a number to an exponent, from now on, simplify it to its number. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. All right, let's deal with the B's. 3 on the bottom, 1 on the top. That means there'd be 2 left on the bottom. And then with the A's, 4 on top, 12 on the bottom, so you can cancel 4. That would leave 8 A's on the bottom. Now, some people are getting here and they're like, oh, that's the answer. Let's box it up. There's nothing left on top, so they're just circling this. But here's the problem. Everything that's left is in the denominator, so you have to keep a numerator to go with your denominator. So there would be a 1 on top. You'd see that a couple times. But if everything's in the denominator, it has to stay there. And if there's nothing left in the numerator, it doesn't disappear. It's just a 1. The only reason we make things disappear in the denominator, if there's a 1 in the denominator, it would just become what it is on top. We'll probably see that at some point here. All right, 2 more. Deal with the parentheses. Everything in these parentheses gets that negative 4 as an exponent. So it would be 2 to the negative 4, p to the negative 4. Remember, those, the 2 and the p have a 1, or a 1 that we don't write. Negative 4 times 1. All right, now m. Negative 1 times negative 4, positive 4. 0 times negative 4, 0. Everything else will stay the same for now. We're just dealing with the exponent outside of the parentheses. Parentheses are now gone, though. All right, next, negative and 0 exponents. So, oops, there we go. Negative and 0 exponents. Now, anything with a negative exponent is going to move to the denominator here. Everything that has a negative exponent is in the numerator. So those things move. Now, very quickly, q to the 0, since we want to deal with 0 exponents as well, q to the 0 becomes the number, move up a little bit, becomes the number 1. Not the exponent 1, the number 1. As in, I can erase this and put the number 1, multiplying times 1. The reason I say it disappears is anything times 1 is itself. So I'll show you what I mean here in a second. But for now, on the top, what remains? M to the 4 remains on the top. 2 remains on the top. And p to the third. Just look for the nothing that is in a different color. M to the 4, 2, p to the third. All right. In green will be everything that moved. We moved it to the denominator, so those exponents become positive. All right, and then I'll go and circle this. everything that was in the bottom stays in the bottom. All right. Actually, hold on a second. 1 second. All right. So on the top, I'm just going to rearrange some stuff here. Put the 2 out front, M to the 4th, P to the 3rd. All right. Now on the bottom, I'm going to put all of the 2's together. There are 5 of them, 4, and then the 1. So you have 2 to the 5th, P to the 5th, 4, and then the other one. You still have M, and then you have Q squared. All right, so now we've taken care of the top just by rearranging, and the bottom by putting everything together. All right, now let's deal with the 2's. There's 1 on top, 5 on the bottom, so there would be 4 left. Now I'm going to go ahead and just multiply those. 2 to the 4th is 16. All right, so 1 canceled here, and what's left is 2 to the 4th. That's where that 16 is coming from. All right, let's deal with the p's. There would be 2 left on the bottom, none left on the top. There would be 3 m's on the top left, and there would be 2 q's on the bottom. No negative exponents. There's only 1 m, 1 p, 1 q. All right, last problem. Now, I'm going to do this as quick as I can here. This is one thing I did see a lot of. So everything here gets this exponent, which is 0. Now, every one of these would become 0. 0 times anything is 0, so 2 to the 0, h to the 0, k to the 0, h to the 0, j to the 0, k to the 0. And everything on the bottom stays the same. So we took care of the parentheses, step 1. Now, many of you notice this. Now, everything with a 0 power would become 1. So this would just be one long string. Oops. One long string of 1s. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. Now, what many of you notice is this. Everything in there becomes a 1, so it would just be a 1 on top. Right from the beginning, if everything is wrapped in that 0, everything is in those parentheses and 0 is your exponent that you're giving to everyone in there, they all basically disappear. 0 is like a curse. It goes to each one. They all become 1, the number 1. And this makes it a lot easier because now all you have to do is, there's actually no combining. We're going to deal with the negative exponents. They're in the denominator. Move them to the numerator. They go to the top. They become positive. There's nothing you can do to combine. No dividing or adding. The 2 stays on the bottom. That's your answer. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good day.